Mark Red Larson here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining me today. Going to be a little bit different. I'm going to try some different things. My wife tells me that when I'm by myself without a guest, I get kind of preachy, and so going to take your advice and try it a little bit differently. But today's podcast actually has been kind of directed towards the topic all morning. And yeah, everywhere I was going, God was giving me ideas and what I should do this podcast on. And yeah, it boiled down to love. Love is the answer. And yeah, I mean, I actually was listening to Joyce Myers earlier today on the internet, and she said everybody wants to be happy. And I agree to a point. There are some people out there that I think that would like to be happy, but I think they use their not being happy as something to, uh, you know, keep being where they're at, getting being stuck. But I just came back from a local town, and I was listening to this gentleman who was speaking on love, and he said, "What are the two things in the Bible that it says to do? It says to love God, and it's love your neighbor like yourself. Both things love." And he had interesting points, and I agree. It's all about love. I'm 100% on that. But I never really thought of it the way he explained it, because he said, God wants you to be a human being, but he said that in today's world, how many people are actually being because they're so busy? He said that we're almost too busy to love, too busy to do anything. Or too busy being busy. Like he said, I mean, human beings, human. Doing is what he said is what Satan wants us to do. We're always doing something. We're always having to do something, and so we keep distracted. And when we're distracted, we're not able to do what God wants us to do as human beings, and that's to love each other and to love Him. So I got to thinking, it's like, I think there's a lot in that. I'd never really thought of it that way, because we are too busy. I think we're way too busy compared to when I grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s. We're way too busy. It's just like we're missing so many things that I really took for granted that people nowadays, don't have the luxury, I guess, or don't think they do, because I think, you know, So, love. I think I deal with so many people. Getting back to love, we all want love. I truly 100% believe that. I think there isn't a person out there, like Joyce said, everybody wanted to be happy. I agree with that, yeah, but I also agree that everybody wants to be loved, and I think that's why we do the things we do. I think that's we okay, getting down to this, the more business wise, how much pleasure do you get when you love something, and how much is it not, the love you get when it's something you do as a chore. And so in that factor, it's just like, if we love it, time goes by, we get in flow, and it kind of works that way in a lot of things that we love. Why do we get married? Yeah, to maybe to have a family and all that, but it's because you love that person and they love you back. And or at least I hope you do when you get married. That is the best case to have a happy marriage, and long term marriage, because without love, marriage can be the opposite. It very much can be a chore, maybe a form of hell, when you don't love each other. Because when you love each other, you kind of, um, you do it differently. You give them grace, like God would give us, and you just, they're human, and we would, because we love them, we just say, yeah, I know they're trying their best, and or we direct them. It's like how we can do better, or how they can do better, to really make this connection, love connection, really work. But when we don't have love, marriage, work, friendship. I think that's why a lot of people seek out. I know it's a lot of why people seek out friendship. You want to love. We want to love. I think by general we want to love, and I think today's society has made it like, oh my gosh, you're just soft. Why would you want? Is I people want to love, and that's why they want friends. That's why they want to be married. That's why they want all that. They want kids to love, and in today's society, we're taking so much of that out. Like I talked the other day, kids want to be loved. That's why they want to be hugged. That's why, and when we take that aspect out, you're taking the love away from them. They want to give love and they want to receive love, but we don't seem to see how important that is, and that needs to get back into society. If we have a society that, here I'm getting preachy again, but if we have a society where we can't give and receive love from kids or whoever, we need to look and see what's going on there. It's a big red flag, and I guess maybe I'm just going to be able to preach. Cheryl's right. I do preach more, but maybe that was what I'm supposed to do. I don't know. I hope you guys like me continuing to do this, so because that's where I'm going with it. And but we dismiss, except for Valentine's Day, which we just had yesterday. Um, we don't really think much about love. And it's like, you get these cards and candy and everything, which is fine, but it really kind of just diminishes Valentine's Day. It's just like, what do you really love? Who do you really love? Have you ever told them that you love them? Because you need to do that, and you need to do it right away and many times, because that person, that opportunity could be gone and never to be repeated. And that is one thing that I think a lot of people, when on their deathbeds, say they wish they'd had. And I heard that like yesterday. How many people said they wish they had told this person that they loved them? And I'm of the opinion you need to do it, and do it often, because those people need to be receiving love so they can give love, because you can't give something that you don't have. If the people are not receiving love or not able to deal, I mean, I don't know if deal, but have anything to deal um, with love, they aren't able to give it because they don't have it yet. And I think you have to receive it to give it, in my opinion. And that's why I just think that we Valentine's Day, is growing up, I thought it was great as a kid, but I think we need to expand on that a lot. And I think we need to have it daily. Why not have something where we tell people how much we appreciate them daily? Pay it forward, on that. So, because as a kid, you loved Valentine's Day. Wasn't it fun to get the candy and maybe give Valentine's? And at least that's what they did when I was in school. And I was one of my favorite holidays. And, but it all goes back to love. But Satan has made it so we think love is soft, that it's you're kind of a wuss if you show love and you give love, because I mean, people are like, oh my gosh, and I've even gotten that response, and it's just like, it's me. I'm going to give it. If I want to give you love, I'm going to, and if you receive it, that is up to you. But when I was growing up, we had a lot of shows that showed love. And one that Cheryl and I watch on MeTV every morning is Leave the Beaver, a very loving show, a very well done show, especially for the era. I mean, it was very well written, but there's love, there's true love in that, and I think that's why it's still playing. Well into lots of decades later. But we put stuff like that on TV, and they don't think it will fly. It's just like, I just got done watching the Waltons. I got home and watched that, and I had some lunch, and Waltons was a very, very nice story. The struggles and the love and everything that the families dealt with in the 30s, and I can tell you, there's those families dealing with what we're dealing with in the 21st century here. And we kind of dismiss it. We kind of, it's tough. It is very tough, because we don't have nice shows on. The rarity to have a nice show on, and they kind of, put it down as like, oh, this isn't going to be popular. People want the murder and the sex and violence and all that stuff, and it's like, I 100% don't agree. Yeah, I mean, there are some people that like that in movies and stuff, but maybe we should keep it to movies and maybe we should keep it where it's more restricted. And when I was growing up, there was definitely more ratings on the movies, and they were enforced more than they are nowadays. I mean, it's just like, but we need to stop dismissing love as being soft, because somebody that shows you love, you know how hard that is. They're putting their heart out there for you, and they're showing that you're really special. Just like giving somebody a hug. The saying that I read the other day was like, when you get a hug, the people really know you mean something to them. And I agree. But it's just, I don't know why. Yeah, I do know why we're putting love on the back burner, because um, Satan's trying to break this country up, break this world up, and that's why he's in the education system confusing these kids on their genders. Thankfully, I didn't grow up at that time period, and I feel for people, at kids, but it's just like, okay, you can't do stuff until 18, but you can change your gender before that. I would say that is definitely got to be Satan, because you don't know what, people do get well into their 20s and onward that don't know who or what they are, and it's just like, and you might be better able to make the choice then, but when you're a kid, you're still exploring who you are. It's just like, we got to make sure these kids are protected. That is, and that was another thing this show I just listened to on the way home said about parents raising their kids in the godly Christian way, and how many parents are falling down on that. And that's not a give. That's not just an option that they do that. When you have children, that is what you do. That is your job. And how so many parents have fallen down on it, mainly because I think, I'm not even going to say, but I think a lot of them don't know how, but I think a lot of them don't want to do it because it's work, and anything worthwhile is work. And it's just like Cheryl and I go out to restaurants, and we can tell kids that have been quote unquote raised. And there would have been those kids when I was growing up, but there are so many kids that don't have any guidance now. And I don't know, I think that's not showing love at all, to let your kids go, run free, run around the restaurant and torment the people and destroy the properties, the people that own the place's property. And that's not showing love. And that's doing a disservice to the people who own the property and the kids, because they aren't being shown right for wrong. And it's just, I talk to a lot of people that own, especially restaurants, and that's why they don't want to do it anymore, because the parents don't take care of their kids. And I, you can discipline kids, especially once you get the discipline in. It's pretty easy. If you haven't disciplined your kids, it gets to be very difficult. Kind of like a dog or cat that has been on the streets, especially cats, because feral cats don't very rarely come back to being disciplined. It's a cat, some do, but when they have the discipline, they become loving animals most of the time. And it's just kind of the same thing. It's like, why wouldn't you want the best thing? If you love your children, why wouldn't you do whatever it takes to give those kids love and guidance, like God would? Like it says in the Bible. He's a great example for what we need to do. And but it goes back to being, instead of human beings, we're human doings. We're doing, we're watching TV, we're playing video games, we're doing virtual reality stuff that, it's like, which I have a lot of problems with, because it's fake. Anything fake in this world needs to leave. And because we have way too much of it right now. And that's why I'm against AI, all that stuff. Yeah, it has its place. And there's things I know it can do but these people are using it as another excuse to waste their time. And you don't have that much time on this earth, excuse me, on this planet. And it's just another distraction to keep you from what if you woke up, that you would do. If you started hearing God, and he would direct you. Because one thing, God will ask and you shall receive, and you will 100%. But going back to love, we've got to love our children, because they are our next generation, and they are what this country, this world will be like when they are adults. And right now we can see the lack of that. I truly believe that is the reason why we have so much shootings, why we have so much violence, why we allow so much violence on TV and movies, because it's not necessary. It's actually pure evil to show that on TV or in the movies. It has no place in this world. And I don't care if you like it or not, or these video games. It's like, why is it always about killing? Why don't we have nice video games? I mean, I know there got to be some out there, but we always go towards war and killing and blood and guts and all this stuff. And I have to tell you, I'm against it. I mean, as a boy, I played the typical games because we had to, because we were outside doing stuff. Rode my bike and did all that stuff, but we didn't do stuff that was hurtful like that. And I think when you put those games into your brain hour after hour, it has to have an effect. For one thing, I think you learn what is right and what's wrong. It becomes your reality, and then you don't know what is right and wrong. And it's just we have to love each other. We have to get more love into this world. We have to have best friends. We have to have neighbors. We have to get to know our neighbors. That's one thing great about here in Nebraska where we're at. We know our neighbors, and I feel sorry for people who don't in the cities. Not saying that they don't all, but it seems like the rarity rather than the norm. And we need to hold the people in Washington, because this is a Christian-based country. Why are we letting this stuff go on in Washington? I know I preach on this every podcast, but what you allow continues. And why do we allow it to continue? It's easier now, won't be later. It's just like raising your kids. Easier now not to disciplining them, but much, much harder later. Because when they become teenagers and you have to discipline them, you'll know what I mean. I mean, I wasn't too bad. My sister was my sister. She's awesome now. Very disciplined, extremely disciplined. But it's just like anything. Or when animals aren't disciplined, you have the animals that get mean. And not always, but there's no always in everything. And it's just I give love. I've told you many times I love people. And that is one of the, I love God because he directs me daily what I need to do. I didn't know what, like last podcast, I didn't know what I was going to do it on. He made sure that I had content this morning and today. And then he just wants me to go out there and love everybody I can, because that's another thing. Everybody wants love. The homeless, the people who are mentally challenged, the people who have other disabilities. There's not a person out there that couldn't use a hug or anything. Just a pat on the back, a smile, talking. Love is awesome, and I'm not meaning sex. I'm meaning love from your heart. And I don't know why we can't, as a society, go out there and say, no, we're not going to have this violence on TV anymore. We're going to put nicer shows on. We're not going to have any of this stuff. This thing with the shootings, which I have my opinions on that, but like I said last time, it didn't occur when I was growing up. It wasn't even a thought ever. And we're supposedly a country that should know better, and here we let this stuff go. We just let it go. It happened yesterday in Kansas. I'm not going to go there, but you know what I'm talking about. And it'll be another one in the books, and then we'll move on, and then there'll be another one, because we don't do anything about it. And I'm not taking guns away. More guns. I'm sorry. It's not going to take less guns. It's going to take more to get. I'm not of the Texas mentality, but I'm close. I think that when people know that other people have guns, or one thing they said, these drug-free zones around schools, they said, what better way for them to do stuff to kids? Because they know they don't have any guns, and it's kind of the same mentality on a lot of this. We're going 100% backwards on this. And we can have guns, because the guns are not alive. It's the people. It's the people that have changed. It's the people that allow the stuff that is going on. It's the mental illness that's going on. It is the parents that have not raised their kids. They're lonely. They don't know what to do. They're sad as can be. They're depressed because they did not have the guidance of the parents or any family support. And I can tell you right now, I don't know how I would be today if I didn't have God and church and all my great family. I mean, and my family on my in-law side too. I mean, they all seem like one family now. I've been so blessed, and I have great brother-in-laws and sister-in-law, and I mean, I have great relatives all throughout. And I wouldn't know what kind of person I'd be like if I hadn't had my grandparents and everything guiding me and directing me to the person I am today. So I can see why kids are looking for guidance. When Cheryl used to work in the daycare a long time ago, they wanted her. She gave guidance because she's like, "Did you see my mother was just here?" Well, it was just the way Cheryl was raised and how she lovingly showed these kids the way, but she disciplined them. And to this day, they still come up to her, and which they're grown adults now, and still they remember her because that's she showed and cared for them. She loved them, and even if it meant disciplining them at the moment. So, and until we get back to that as a society, um, I'm not even going to say what it's going to go on because I don't know, but I don't think it's probably going to be the most positive thing. And we need to get back to loving each other. We need to send, and that's another thing. Writing. Why don't we write? It doesn't take that long to write a short note. Cheryl and I were looking at some Valentine postcards from early 1900s. I mean, they were short, but the person that received that probably thought the world, that. But we've lost, we don't call. We do everything in person. We do text. There's no personal interaction. So there's no chance to really love. I think it'd be hard to give very much love over a text or a voicemail or anything like that. We need to get back to the personal human experience. And if that means going to church, and I'm not a big fan of traditional churches, and I'm definitely not one of the evangelical. I mean, I'm not. It turns, in my opinion, I think it turns more people off than it helps. And but that's my opinion. So anyway, get back to loving. The next time you see somebody out there struggling, give them a helping hand. Maybe they just need a little bit of love today, and it's not that hard. And what you give out, you receive, 100%. And especially kids that are struggling. And that's why I like helping kids because they are our future. And kids love to receive and also to give love. So on that, make sure you give love to everybody you can, and tell people that you do love them because you never know, they could be gone all too soon. So on that, thanks for joining me on this episode of the Dreamcatcher podcast, and until next episode, take care.